And now it is a pleasure to be joined by Chris Fields, who has been announced to fight Karl Albrektsson on November 28th in Sweden at Superior Challenge 21. This is a fight that was supposed to happen before, but we're glad to see it happening again. A lot of people didn't think it could happen because Albrektsson had subsequently signed for Bellator, but alas, we have a fight. Chris Fields, how do you feel about all of this, my lovely friend?
He's back.
Yeah, good man. I don't like things unfinished, so I felt like me and him had to go. Had to get it done at some point. I think he's a very high level opponent, which is all I'm ever looking to fight. I don't see the point in getting myself. I don't see the point in spending 8 weeks getting ready to fight some bum. So I'm excited and kind of be cool to go over to Sweden and spend a bit of time there and see how they're dealing with all the madness that's going on at the minute as well.
Better than us, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Before the last fight, Chris, we had kind of laid out this big plan where you get a shot again, you get a win over Albrektsson. You would discuss with Graham Boyle on the possibility of getting on the then UFC Dublin card that is no longer happening. But you had kind of said that, this was all part of your last steps in the sport. And I was just wondering, where are you with that now? Like ahead of this fight next month, where do you feel your future lies in terms of a competitor?
Realistically, that's kind of gone now. That ship has flown, as they like to say. That ship has sailed. I just want to go in and have a few fights. I'm kind of, it seemed like the stars aligned a little bit, and then they fucked me over, as they tend to do. So I'm possibly the unluckiest guy with fights in the history of mixed martial arts. So, the show coming to Dublin kind of made everything seem like it was going to be perfect, but no, it was just a giant shit sandwich. So now I'm just going back to what I love doing, have some fight.
And how do you feel about that?
Is there
Chris?
any way?
Go on.
Sorry.
How do you feel about that, Chris? In terms of you mentioned there that the plan has gone out the window. Is almost your mind sort of settled on coaching now? Is that the after this fight, is that going to be it? And you're just going to solely concentrate on being head coach of Team KF?
Yeah, so coaching has been kind of just taken over the last while, and it's not a lot of people make that sound like it's fucking the end of the world or something. This is what I love to do. I still get to do something I love to do every day. What's been great about this is the lockdown has meant that I just get to be a professional fighter for this fight. For the first time in a long time, I just get to be a professional fighter. So usually my day today is coaching maybe 4 classes. Classes are finished. So I'm just getting ready for a fight. That's all I'm doing right now. And I just realized how much of a moany, lazy bastard I used to be, because you don't actually do that much. You can only do so much in a day, training-wise. And then what I used to be doing is I was doing that and then doing all my coaching duties on top of it, which is obviously a big workload. And then, all the cool stuff of being a dad and family stuff and all that kind of stuff. And now all I have to do is concentrate on the family stuff and that side and just getting my 2 a day in every day for a fight.
I want to ask you about all of this lockdown situation in a minute, but just a few more on this Albrektsson fight to begin, Chris. Is there any way, if things don't go your way against Albrektsson and it results in a defeat, that could be your last fight as a mixed martial artist, or is that not entering your thought process at the moment?
I'm not really I'm fighting because I love fighting. I know I'm not going to have a load more. I don't know how many interviews we've done now where I've said another year, but we might just say another year again. But I just want to have a few more, man. I want to just enjoy them. I'm not putting a lot of stress on myself. I'm improving. I've got a great team here. Weirdly, it's weird to look around the mat and go I made all these guys, and now they're trying to absolutely take my head off. I've got a great team here that I've built, and it's my own team, and it's nice because the lads know how much I put into them. So now it's like me having a fight, so they're all putting the time into me, you know. So it's great. Yeah, it's been cool. I'm not really that stressed on, like, you know, if I fought and won, it may be my last one. If I fought and lost, it may be my last one. I'm not really thinking like that. It's just at the moment, I'd like to have a couple more. If I have this one and I win it, and I don't really feel I have the time to have another one, I won't. You know, that kind of way. I'm not. I just like fighting, man. That's really it. It's a purity thing.
We saw a lot of discussion about this lockdown, Chris, and gyms. A lot of people feel as though they should be being labeled as essential due to mental health issues and things like this that are occurring, probably a lot due to this lockdown. But we saw the government in the UK overturned the decision in Liverpool. I saw Molly McCann tweeting about it, that the gyms have been deemed essential now. As a gym owner yourself, a guy who's just moved to a huge facility along with Tom King, how do you feel about the situation? Like, I mean, do you feel as though, you know, can you separate yourself from being a gym owner in this situation and consider whether gyms should be deemed essential? Where do you lie in this whole situation?
Yeah, look, like, you know, it's weird for me to say this, and I may get a smack off Tom later, but like, they're not essential. They're just not. Like, they're like, what we do is amazing. I love doing it. I love the people I help. I still help those people. If it's a matter of like mental health, I don't just not talk to people in my gym because they're not in my gym that day. You know what I mean? I reach out to people all the time off my team. It's not it. And I kind of felt like there was a little bit of an angle by people, you know, that they were saying the mental health thing to keep their business open, which I'm not really too comfortable with. Like, I feel like, you know, everyone kind of has to do their part. And, you know, I suppose that us being closed at the minute, like, I'd rather close my gym and keep schools open. You know, if that's an option, like, if they're the options, well, then my gym should be closed, I feel. I'd rather my kid going to school than, like if professional athletes are still allowed to train. So my team, with the pro guys here, are still training, the elite level guys. If that's allowed to happen, well, then that's fine, and that's what we're doing. But I think, like, day to day, kind of the gym being open, you know, I don't think it's essential for life. It didn't exist before about 1998 in this country, so people got by.
But even gyms in general, Chris, do you not feel it's essential for people to be active and get their exercise, release their endorphins for their mental health? No.
I think, like, you know, like, when I look at, like, places like the Irish Strength Institute and places like that, I think, like, a PT kind of gym, or, you know, even a normal gym where you lift weights makes more sense to me being open than my place. You know, if you look at it, like, the contact that we have in our gyms is just
fair enough.
so much, isn't it? Like, you know, the sport itself entails so much contact. So I think there's some ridiculous decisions by the government, like, lads can't play golf but people can play GAA, you know, this kind of dumb stuff that just makes no sense to me. But, like, I've never claimed that the government know what they're doing. They don't. But I think I think the big issue should be, like, like, people that own gyms shouldn't be scrambling to say stuff about mental health. We should all just get together and say, look, here's the nuts and bolts of it. If you tell me to close my gym, I should open in the exact same financial situation I closed in. I should not be getting into debt because you told me to close my gym. That's it.
100%.
That's what everyone should be getting on. You know what I mean? That's what we should be getting on, instead of trying to, like, fighting to keep them open and, like, maybe saying stuff we don't really believe, or falling into the conspiracy theory crap. Like, I think realistically we should all be coming together and going, look, if you need us to close because there's an outbreak, or there's some reason that we have to close, you know, for people's safety, well, then that's fine. But then, like, my business can't go into debt because of that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, crazy stuff from the government.
I wanted to ask you about Ian Garry, Chris, as I often do. I feel like he's at a very tentative crossroads in his career now. He's clearly proven that he's a huge talent. He is absolutely one for the future. But I feel as though his next fight is going to be a big one, in terms of he's a known quantity now, and it's likely that the next opponent he has will have a bigger name than any of the other ones he's faced. I'm not sure where he is in the matchmaking process or anything like that, but do you feel as though Ian's next fight will be a significant step up in terms of opposition, and maybe can illuminate us even more as to how big his future is going to be?
Yeah, I think at this point, like for me anyway, and and I think there tends to be a little bit of kind of like guys in the sport think that guys like you don't know as much as them or this kind of shit, but you guys know as much as I do about this. You watch more than I do of the sport. Like you'd probably agree with me that he's proven he's ready for that step. That's the way I feel anyway. I think at one point there he was like kind of tentatively calling for that UFC shot in Dublin. I had a little chat with him at the time. I didn't think it was a good move from him at the time. I just felt he needed to build up more. But now I feel like that's been and gone when that was supposed to happen. It was supposed to be August, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
15th, yeah.
It's supposed to be August. That's been and gone. I think Ian is at a point now where we may be looking to because the way things have gone this year and the way things have been, we may be just looking to put a few more fights together and then make a push. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think his skill set has improved drastically. I think something Ian does very well, and obviously it's pushed in the gym here for all the guys, but he doesn't just get ready for fights, he improves each time, and he improves outside of camps. He comes and he trains in the gi, and he does like kickboxing stuff that's not just smashing each other in rounds. It's improving technically. He's inquisitive. He asks a lot of questions, the kid, and he never shuts up. But but he's learning, and I almost look at him sometimes. It's like I'm that Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator, and he's the liquid one that's like kind of. It's like
Sorry, that's hilarious.
T1000.
The T1000, yeah. He's learning. He's developed. Like I was just chatting about it today with a few guys after training, and I was saying like Ian was there, and I was like, if I look at the way his improvement is happening compared to where I was at after 4 pro fights in my career, it's just insane. Like, but it's because how streamlined his learning has been in the club, with myself and Tom and everyone else. Like, that's something that's really good here. There's guys that don't ever like get too much of a mention, but there's like Anton and he has Ash here all the time. There's just so many kind of people inputting information on the people, and the guys are willing to listen, which is the big thing. And when they're not, they don't last. I don't let them stay in the club. That's kind of where we're at.
Chris, can I ask you, we've seen a lot of this over the last sort of 12 months, the way the global pandemic has gone, and we've seen it with Reese McKee, we've seen it with, Mattias Gamrot, we've seen it with a lot of, fighters in the US as well, that guys are maybe getting that opportunity in the UFC, and before maybe it's even time for some of them. What would you do if the UFC came knocking on the door and inquired about, Ian taking a fight in the UFC, on short notice, or what's the like? Would you entertain that at this present moment?
So I've thought about this a lot, because exactly what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. You guys know as much as all of us that this is a possibility. Like, this could happen. Maybe not right now, but maybe like after another win, it might be a possibility. In the end of it all, the decision is Ian's to make. I'm not his manager. I'm just his coach. I act as his manager because I just want to, the way I do with all the lads, I want to help them along, but I'm not actually his manager. So I'd sit down and have a conversation. Do I think he's ready? Yes. Do I think I'd like him to go in right now, this second, or maybe like after one more fight? Probably no. I'd probably like him to have maybe two more, maybe 3, and kind of see. It depends on the performances and who they're against. But I think my thing is, like, I don't want Ian to find the UFC. I want Ian to be a UFC champion. That's the way I look at it, and there's different paths for everyone. If I felt like a guy, it was just to get him a few fights in the UFC, well, then he may go in sooner. But I feel like for Ian, the potential's there to be like to be someone for the country to get excited about again. I feel he has that, like, and I watch him in the gym. I know what he's capable of, and the beauty of him is it's an all-round game. It's not just like some kid that has good striking or some kid that has good grappling or whatever. He's an all-rounder and an athlete to boot, and he's worked diligently, to be fair to him, on that. So a chat I had with him a while ago, and he's gone and worked on his athleticism, and he's working with strength conditioning coaches and all, so I think another, I'd entertain it, but I think I'd like maybe 2 more with really good performances. What would you guys think? Just go back at
I was going to say,
I'd agree the same.
to you, Chris, I know it's not about a number in your head. Whenever I've talked to you about Ian, you've never been like, he needs to be 6-0, and then I'll let him, I'd entertain the UFC. It's all about what kind of tests does he pass, right? Before you're willing to let this happen. So what tests do you want to see him pass before he's in the UFC?
There's a couple of guys there in Cage Warriors at the moment, and I think Ian beating like one of those guys would be, and how he beats them. So scraping a close decision or a split decision against them probably isn't going to do it for me. But like putting them away in emphatic fashion or controlling the whole fight and winning the decision, then it lets me know exactly where he's at. I give him little tests in the gym too. I test him. I test all my guys. This isn't just an Ian interview. So I test all of them like it's equally. They get little tests every now and again. I'll just it's been more difficult with the way things have been, but I'll grab a guy that only grapples and I'll bring him in and I'll make the guys grapple with him and just see how they're performing against a high level purple belt or something like that. Kind of sends the message, because the lads, I don't want anyone sleeping on their skill set and becoming like excellent strikers or any of this kind of stuff. I want all round guys to be honest, if I got the call about James now, I'd be willing to put James in right away. I feel like James has kind of shown me where he's at and how he can go and how he can perform in there. And I think he has the potential to make a good run in the UFC with his skill set. But yeah, I'd like that call.
James is in an audition, right, Chris? James is in like a very awkward position. James, in terms of James, I think he's proven that he's elite within Cage Warriors. The problem is now he's coming off this great win over Craig, and the champion, he's already fought him twice, right? So it's a difficult situation for Cage Warriors. It's a different situation for James. I was really hoping that he could maybe get himself a shout on Contender Series, maybe with a win in his last fight, and he did so well against Craig, and it was a big fight in terms of Craig hanging up his gloves. But I thought that kind of took away from the win from James, because Craig retiring became the story of that fight, right? So instead of looking at James' incredible performance, people are like, oh, Craig, a guy who was a huge ambassador for Cage Warriors, a former UFC fighter, is retired. So that became the story, right?
Yeah, look, Craig was just doing what Craig. I had a chat with Craig after and his coach, and I would have met them. Like Craig was fighting when I was fighting in Cage Warriors. That's how long he's around. I think he fought in Cork, if I'm not wrong. Maybe on my first fight or when I was cornering someone pretty early on in Cage Warriors. But they said they wanted to fight, because I asked for Craig. Sorry, I asked. I messaged and said I like that fight if Craig is up. I think it's a good matchup, and they said they accepted it because of James and me and the team. They said they didn't want any bullshit, they didn't want any shy talk. They wanted to get in with a really high level guy and have a good fight against someone that had all the potential to beat them. And and Craig wanted that to be his last fight, which is admirable, because he probably has done enough in the business to warrant getting walking away with a W over some nobody, that kind of way.
The golden handshake.
Yeah, exactly. Just look cool on going on the out, But I think for James, yes, the story became Craig and Ian from the weekend. Ian got so much hype because the way he finished. But and this is not taken away from Ian's performance, it was phenomenal. But if you look at James' performance in that fight, it's so perfect. It's so professional. It's I'm beaming in the corner. I'm so happy he took no damage, did everything perfectly, took him down, controlled him, passed. It was just a beautiful display. I think James has made huge improvements in his game.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. It was super slick. Get in, get the job done, and walked out. I'd agree.
But what's the plan for James then?
Well, see, like here's part of the problem. I don't want him to fight for the belt again. I don't want him to prepare for 5-5s. Like, I think like it just takes so much time that he can only fight a certain amount of times a year. He keeps himself in serious condition. He's always training hard, James. And even when he's not here, he has Taylor Perman over there. He's rolling with constantly. He has some good striking coaches he works with at home, you know. So he's always ready to go. So I think like having just fighting the 3-5s, and this is what I was kind of saying to him, let's get the 3-5s against good opponents. And let's hope that something pops up. You know, that's kind of the approach we're going at the moment. So I'd love to push for that contender series.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great for him. I don't know if they're bringing lads from Europe across at the moment with everything that's going on.
Yeah. They've brought one or two, I think, more over than they have in you know, at the start of the pandemic. But there's definitely a few going over to contender series, as we've seen. But
yeah, I think it might be a case of maybe get like myself and the team and everyone here to put a push on him to get on it. Maybe do those little tag and Dana White things and see what happens.
Have you worked out who's going to be in your corner for the fight? I think that's interesting. You're obviously going to have to, you know, set that up sort of differently than you have since you've been head coach of Team KF. What's the plan there, Chris?
It'll be has it been for all my last few fights. It's going to be me and Karl heading over, so it'll just be Kazar in my corner.
All right.
I to be honest, because we're going to have to spend 2 weeks isolating when we come back. So I don't want if I bring Tom over as well, then that means neither me or him can go near the gym. You know, so I think like Karl makes sense. You know, Karl's someone like he's one of my best mates, but my training partner my whole career. I trust any advice he give me in the corner, and I trust that if he gave me the wrong advice, it was for the right reasons. You know, that kind of way. Just a mistake, like, or if I don't listen to him, it's not me. You know, that kind of way. So that's all you ever need in the corner. If you can trust someone, you're fine.
Big pun himself. Big Punisher.
Yeah. What big pun? What? Here, a quick one for you. What do you think? What do you think of the Khabib fight?
We were literally just.
I was just about to ask you.
Right.
We wanted to ask you. Obviously, you know, huge ramifications of Khabib's win at the weekend. Biggest one being his retirement, and now the subsequent talks of his legacy. Where do you see him as a guy who's watched his career throughout, really, from his first fight in the UFC right up to his last there against Gaethje? What do you think his legacy will be, and do you consider him one of the greats of the sport?
He's definitely going to be one of the greats. I don't consider him the greatest to ever do it or any of this kind of stuff. I think there's a little bit of recency bias going on there, you know. And this is not taken away from the guy. It's a phenomenal career, phenomenal champion. It's hard to pick a fight he looked bad in, like, to be honest. He's always like, you know, you're going way back, like, to pick anything. What was the big Brazilian guy that he struggled with very close?
Gleason Tibau.
Which guy?
Tibau.
Gleason Tibau, yeah. He struggled in that fight. But, like, that's about it. That's the only time you've ever seen him have any kind of proper adversity. I think, to be honest, Justin probably gave him his best fight. Like, and he still looked like, you know, Justin landed on him, maybe made him one of the few people to make him take some back steps. Doesn't happen too often. I think his pressure is insane, isn't it? Like,
it's unbelievable.
When you see someone like Justin Gaethje kind of gassing, you know, who has an amazing gas tank, and there's no question over the
after
effort
5
put into
minutes.
Justin's camp. Yeah, but I just feel like, you know, when you're reacting to someone like that and he has you so nervous and you're tense the whole time, it's just so much stress on your body, like, so hard to deal with, you know. The other approach is kind of go with what like Connor's team had done for Connor's fight. When you get taken down, just accept it. You remember they were talking about that after the fight, like, I don't know if that's the answer with someone like Khabib. I think you have to just go in and, well, like, we're never going to know now, are we? No one's ever going to figure out the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
But
we
never know.
You know, but like, you know, I think he's top 10 greatest of all time, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, definitely top 10. I think, like, you know, I think then it just goes down to opinion, doesn't it? And what you like, you know, for me, Anderson, who's going to be the greatest? Like, whether people would say GSP, you might get a few boys pulling out a chocolate Dell or two, you know. Yeah, John Jones comes up in my gym a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I argue with the lads about that. The lads think John Jones the greatest to ever do it. Like, you know, so it's, it's just opinion, really. Once you're in that top 10, you're the greatest. That's it, really, isn't it? Like, you're 10 of the greatest.
Is he the pound for pound best fighter in the world at the moment?
I don't know if you could consider him that. Could you? Like, consider him what John Jones?
I think it's him or Adesanya.
Yeah, you got to put Izzy there as well. 100%, I think. You know, if you look at Izzy, he probably has less. You know, his standing is obviously fantastic, and then you've John Jones, as you said, Khabib. But in terms of the pressure, I think you have to say Khabib. But yeah, but like, it's a tough one. It really is based on opinion.
How many title defenses does John Jones have?
True.
How many title defenses does he have after really competitive fights? And Khabib devastates people.
Yeah, but Jones did that at the start as well. And then it started to slow down. So like we don't really get to see that. Like he's doing that cool thing where you walk off into the sunset. No one gets to see you get older or make mistakes or people figure you out. You know, that kind of thing.
Good point.
Like Jones was wrecking people. No, he was wrecking people at the start.
Yeah.
Like you would have said he was probably the most dominant champion. Him and Anderson Silva were two of the most dominant champions ever in UFC history. And now, because he's had like a few decisions, people have figured out his game. They fight him differently. Happened with Anderson too. People started to stand off him because they knew he wanted to counter strike. Like people would have started to figure out something about Khabib that maybe dragged him into a different kind of fight. And someone like Khabib would have still found a way to win. It happened with GSP too. But you know, it mightn't have been as devastating and as impressive as it went on.
Yeah, it's just a shame they've
Jones and Anderson have another thing in common as well, don't they?
Yeah. Another.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
Lucky, I was just
right.
Say,
well, look,
like how many times is Khabib now? 4,
4, 5.
4.
One against the Aquinta,
Pretty sure
defended
4.
against Conor, Poirier, and Gaethje. Is it
4? Yeah.
So he has the same amount of title defenses as Benson Henderson at lightweight. You know, it's really
one of the greats as well, obviously.
What's going on? Is it getting carried away?
Right, we better let you get back to your training, Chris. We've kept you all bleeding day here.
The lads are all going mad now. They got called out in their Khabib love and shit. Like, yeah, all right, go on.
Not at all. Appreciate the time, Chris.
Love you, Chris. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Good, lads. Talk to you soon, yeah?
Hello, guys. If you want to hear more of The Bash, you can subscribe to us on all our wonderful channels on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and all that other shit.
And click the links below. Click the links below, the notification button. It comes straight to your phone if we've any fresh content. And also hit the subscribe button. It does help. You're some plonker.
It's very serious.